That there goes to there and it disappears.
So there will be a quiz. Hope you guys took notes after this, because that's...
So that there is the Honda Tiller 6000. Hey there, good morning. Today I'm out at the job site, my house. Oh, that's gonna leave a mark, hit the door on my leg. Today I'm meeting the James Hardie rep, Tom Mahoney. We're at my house and Eugenio's just gotten started putting on the siding on the house. And I wanted Tom to come out as the rep to make sure we're doing things right and see if there's some new products or something that we should be thinking about, maybe the thickness of the trim, what have you. So this will be interesting. The big thing with siding in all houses is keeping the water out. So let's go talk with Tom and see what we're in store for. Tom, you made it.
Yes, how are you?
Out to the country. What do you think of this place?
Beautiful. How about this view? This is awesome.
Yeah, when I saw building Andrew Flair's house over here, okay. I'm in his backyard now.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, how do I get one of these views? So he sold me a real steep lot and I had to spend a lot of money putting in a road, but I'm glad I'm here. So
yeah, what a beautiful home.
Here's all your product we're using.
Yes, sir.
The James Hardie stuff. The siders don't really, I mean, they love it when it's on, but they just don't like to carry it because it's the real deal.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Heavy duty.
Very durable product.
Yeah. What would you say this is? Just what's it? I always call it like it's made out of concrete, but what would you say it really is?
Yeah, it's a fiber cement board is what it is. So you got some various trim products here, you got some lap siding products and panel products here, but a fiber cement product is what we would call it.
And I've seen video and stuff on it that a neighbor's house will catch on fire that doesn't have James Hardie, and the next door neighbor's house that nothing.
Resist fire, resist Mother Nature, resist pests. It's a very durable product that you will see over the life of, you know, this beautiful home that you're going to do here. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Boy, we have stucco in one house and the woodpeckers having they're going to bend their beak on this stuff, right?
Correct.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm sure we'll have all kinds of crazy nature stuff out here.
Yes.
And then I'll be not only hail proof, but woodpecker proof and crazy animals that, well, Flair's got a bunch in his backyard. So this house, we're not doing any lap siding on this one. We're going to do what we call a board and batten.
Beautiful.
Kind of, I don't know what look you would call that. I'm supposed to know that stuff, but it's the look my wife wants. There, that's the look.
That's the important thing.
All right. Eugenio has gotten started on it today, so I wanted to go through. He's not here yet, but let's kind of walk through and see what he's done. And I want to make sure we're doing it correctly. And any tips you have. Sometimes there's a big disconnect with the installer versus, and the right way. I mean, I know you guys got plenty of brochures,
yes, sir.
But you got to read them and do it. So
being proactive is a very important part of this process. So yeah, appreciate you bringing me out here, and we're excited.
Okay, let's go take a look, see what we've done so far. So we're using the zip wall system, which I've put this on my personal house. I've done the Tyvek both ways, but I hear more and more this is kind of the way to go. You don't have a preference one way or the other?
No, per code. So you're going to meet the weather resistive code there. And so yeah, this is a great product to use. Yep.
Okay. Yep. So over here, you can see Eugenio's gotten started because he stopped short because this is going to be stone.
Oh, very
okay.
Nice.
But I can't go any further than stone because what we're standing on, it's got to be a poured front stoop, right?
Absolutely.
So that will come on. As he's installed this, he stopped short. I think he's going to continue. The one idea was, do we put this up tight around the windows first and then put the trim around it? The better way might be is, I'm more worried about the header of the window.
Absolutely.
We're getting water in. Now we're under a front stoop.
Yep.
So it may not be that big of a concern, or is it still a concern even for moisture?
We would want to have the same detail throughout, but you're absolutely right. This soffit protection here is going to minimize any risk around any water intrusion just because of the soffit application here.
Okay.
But those details are very important around trimming to or trimming over with this board and batten detail.
Let me find
and there's 2 ways to kind of achieve it. So.
So 2 ways to achieve that, such as?
Trim over or butt to. So,
okay.
Yep.
So if you wanted to, he could continue this over and put the board on, which, and I'll have to show the viewers that it might be better if I put the trim board up there and the flashing on, and then, so the trim board's here, and then this runs to it, right on top. So if water ever gets in, hits the flashing, and runs out. It won't ever get behind.
Absolutely.
If it does, I mean, we've got all kinds of safety measures. We got this zip tape. There'll be an additional way to flash the top of the window either way.
Yep.
But these trim pieces, it's not necessary, it just adds to the look. And there's different sizes that you guys have, don't you? What?
Correct. There's 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
Okay.
I believe what you guys have out here is probably the 4-inch trim board.
Yeah, we're doing some 4, and maybe in some areas you might do 6.
Correct.
You know, I have a better idea, Tom. So this isn't done yet, but this gives us a sense where the siding's on.
Yeah.
Eugenio started on the back of the house, putting the trim on. Let's go see how that's coming along.
Absolutely.
And if we're doing it correctly.
Okay.
All right, so he's already trimmed out some of these windows, but I wanted to get a little closer for the viewer to show them what I'm talking about. Like this corner, there's 2 ways to do this. He's got the bigger board here, and then it's the smaller board on the back side. So he's done it the right way, because you don't want to see that open, this backboard's sticking out on this side, because this is kind of the prominent part of the house.
The backs and the fronts, absolutely the seam, correct.
Yeah, let me grab a board to show the viewers. What you don't want to see is that. See that edge? It looks better when you don't see it at all. I mean, you've got to make a choice.
Absolutely.
So this looks like the back of the house, which is kind of the front of the house, and then the side is really secondary. So if you have that joint should be disappear.
Yep.
So it looks like that.
And it's details like this that'll make this home pop.
Right.
So it's there's a lot of different design things you can do with Hardie, and some of these details that the average homeowner may not be aware of really accentuate some of the design.
Because that's a good point, because really they don't know what they're looking for. And sometimes your sider doesn't know what he should be doing either. There's kind of a right and a wrong way, but I think this is the better way.
I would agree with you.
Yeah, okay. So that's how we do some of the corners. And even though this is a bigger board, and when it turns around, it's going to be a little smaller. If we have a 5-inch here, then we would have like a 4-inch over here because of that extra inch. So it will look uniform around there. So that's what I'm trying to say. Now, back to the windows, we went with a little bigger trim around, trying to add a little weight and meat to the house a little bit. I think would be pull this off is what I feel, because we want that siding to go behind this board.
That is an option.
Right?
Yep.
And then that top piece, if that goes on first, that means all that siding comes up. There we go. Comes up. Then I got to caulk this joint. I'm trying to avoid maintenance on that. But that's the only way around it, because if I put the siding on here and then that board and put that one on last, then they're going to stick out. They're not on the same plane.
Correct. Because you'll build it out 5/16 of an inch.
Yeah, if I understand right, we need to be doing it like this, because the flashing will go on top of that trim board. Then that big 4x8 sheet will sit down on top of the flashing. If there's water gets in, it can never get in behind it.
Yep, the flashing detail is critical up there. So you don't want water sitting on that lip, and you'll leave a proper 1/4-inch clearance between the flashing and that panel to allow any water to escape as well.
Yeah, so there'll be a little joint, and you don't want to caulk that either. People make the mistake of caulking that flashing, and that flashing's there to let water out.
Exactly.
And they're going to be sealing it in. Sometimes I'll have viewers go through, well, you didn't caulk that. You don't want to caulk those things. You'll caulk the sides and on the bottoms, but never the top. You got to let the water get out. Okay, so let's look around and see a couple of other applications we have. Like I have this big trim board. This is this big fat trim board. You can see it over here. We've gotten started on it. What I've noticed, Eugenio has done it right on this side. So see these little edges here? What we want to do is hide that. So he's got the trim board on there. So when I put it up, you don't see it. What Eugenio's done on this side, we should have continued that trim board down. So let me show you what has to be fixed. So that trim board up there, he stopped it short, and he has the flashing on. You can see the flashing over here, guys. That's what we need to sit before that big panel sits on top. That's what we were talking about. So on this end, to make this disappear, we needed to run that 4-inch trim board all the way down. So it hides us. And let me show you what it looks like by not doing that. What Eugenio should have done is continued this board all the way down, so this would butt up. That there goes to there, and it disappears. Little details, it's a lot to think about. You can see it when it looks like it's not installed correctly. But some people would still do that, fill this in and caulk, but there's a little better way, and I'm gonna have Eugenio fix that for my house. Any other concerns? Or
some of the areas I think are important to call out would be roof line clearances. So up here you're going to have shingles. Per code and per Hardie, we would say keep it 2 inches off the shingles. So it's just a detail we want to make sure that we're
so when he
with.
cuts that siding, that you want to, because there'll be some wall flashing, and then we want to be up 2 inches.
2 inches from the shingles.
Oh, from the shingles. Okay, so we have to, even though the flashing should be going on here real soon, he'll probably need to incorporate the shingle, so maybe 2.5 inches, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're all
Okay.
using for that.
All right, yeah, it's just that 30-year heritage.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's those details like that that'll ensure the longevity of the product.
And for that reason is if you start getting snow and ice, it doesn't start creeping up, right? Because
it's
ice
always
will,
moisture.
yeah, moisture. Ice, well, believe it or not, it will run uphill. So that's why we do the moisture guard on the roofs. But you have to think about that too with your flashing and your siding too.
Yep.
But these big windows, I'm just planning on putting the thicker trim boards all the way through, so when it's all done, it will look like one great big window went in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll have a kick out flashing up there in that corner. And that'll divert all the water that's running down that sidewall into the gutters and away from the house. Because those kick out flashings are really, really important for
And James Hardy has that.
your roofer or your cider would put it.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just- it's
Okay.
just a
I got
water
it.
diverter is what
Yeah,
it
it's like a
is.
little elbow kind of sticks up there, takes the water and spins it around so it doesn't
Exactly.
run off.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, so walking around, we're gonna have stone on the fireplace up there. Any tricks where the stone meets the house, just run the siding to it and then we'll run the stone to the siding?
You'll have because mortar and masonry holds a lot of water, you want to have a type of L flashing or Vita caulking there to separate the mortar and the masonry from the Hardy products there as well. So as your Hardy dies into the stone, you'll either have a L flashing that sometimes the mason provides, or you can leave a 1/8 inch gap and then run a Vita caulk
Down there.
Yeah.
I'll run that 4x8 sheets of siding tight to the chimney, where
Okay.
it's right to the greens, what I'm thinking. That's
Okay.
what and then they'll put the stone to
Got
it, right?
Yep, and then they'll have that masonry bead.
That bead, okay.
Yep.
Okay, and I'm just walking around to
Yeah.
see, like our garage buck, yeah, we always build those out. Any concerns where these two roof fascia meet?
Not where they're dying, but so we do have shingles again there. So we'll keep the Hardy off the shingles, and we have another application for a kick-out flashing. So you potentially would have water running down that smaller section.
roof, okay.
So you just want to always moisture and water. You want to divert the water away from that sidewall.
Gotcha.
So
All right.
there's a couple applications on this home where you'll have those kick-out flashings.
What are you showing me here? These are some new products. I know you have pre-finished, which we really don't use a lot here. But I have a builder that's a friend of mine up in Seattle, and it's always raining and wet, and that's pretty much the only way they can get their house done and painted, right? So you're showing me here a new product that you're coming out with?
Yeah, so Hardy's, from an innovation standpoint, we're always coming up with new things. We employ a lot of R&D and scientists and engineers. We think it's important to be on the forefront of innovation, because with Hardy, there's endless design opportunities. And shown here are a couple different profiles of a shiplap, a square edge, and a V-groove. So it's a thicker product, and it really allows you to add some different design or depth to your home. You could do it on the front of your house, or you could do it on a soffit application, or even a fireplace application, because the non-combustibility of Hardy allows you to do a lot of unique things. These profiles, you can run vertical, you can run horizontal, you can even miter outside corners to allow you to achieve some very unique design applications.
So these just come together. I mean, these are little small samples, but they come in like 12-foot lengths.
Yep.
And then you would just join these up together.
Correct.
And that gets you a bigger profile.
Correct.
Right here.
Yep.
Right. And then this is pre-finished. You can see the weight of it's heavy. And then this is another. So if you don't like that big of a profile, a little smaller.
Yep.
Detail, right? This little groove.
Yep, absolutely.
So you can run it this way up your house. You have a horizontal. You turn it this way, and they go
Correct.
vertical. Yeah, let me make sure I'm saying that right.
Yeah, no, you're spot on.
So here's the big in the middle, and then here's maybe more of I don't know if it's more modern or tight. So it's a little cleaner, tighter joint. So it's all about same look, but just different profile where they connect. So now this kind of makes my brain spin a little bit. I'm trying to get creative. A lot of times what people need say, I like it, but I have to see it somewhere, you know. So you have magazines and different brochures and stuff on your website.
Yep.
I like to be on the forefront doing new things. So this is not like I can give someone an address. Maybe you could around here, but when it's new, they have to kind of be trustworthy and willing to be a little creative, and sometimes maybe just put a couple samples up to see if they like it.
Of course.
And then continue on with it. But trying new things is a little scary, but the results typically turn out awesome, and then all of a sudden people want to copy your house. There's your best compliment, right? When you're being copied.
Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome stuff. Yeah, keep me in the know, Tom, on the latest and greatest. And as we continue to design and build new homes, we want to be on the cutting edge, especially with what James Hardy's doing. You guys are a great partner. Be able to showcase some of this stuff. So a lot of my customers trust me on some new ideas. I just need you to give them to me.
We can do that.
All right. All right. Hey, thanks. That's awesome.
Yep.
Just to summarize, we got to make sure we get the metal flashing over top of all the windows. Do not caulk those areas. Hold the siding away from the roof by 2 inches.
Yep.
Make sure we're using the proper nails.
Correct.
You know, that those are finishing nails on the trim so it doesn't break through, and it makes it it easier for the painter, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. But all that, anything else you feeling okay? How we're doing?
It'll be a beautiful home. We're excited.
Yeah. Well, I want you to come back as we get started if you can, just to double check and see how Eugenio's doing, and we'll get him the proper nail gun so he can be doing his job. So everyone's learning, and I really appreciate your time there. Hey, thanks Tom, I really appreciate it. So we're in my house. We've got a lot accomplished here in the last couple of weeks. The plumbing has all been completed. We ran all copper lines through the house. The HVAC guys are wrapping up. I had to make my furnace room downstairs a little bigger because of the size of the unit. We're doing geothermal here. And now the last crew coming in for the rough end is the electricians, and they've just started 2 days ago, and man, these guys are flying. So let's walk through, meet with Tony, see what kind of questions he has, and find out where this wire goes. I always get out here without a tape measure. I always tell people no one has a tape measure on a job site, even the builder doesn't have one. Let me borrow this 1 second. I will return it. I just got to double check this measurement before we 185.5. Okay. When you borrow something, it's important you say, for the record, I'm bringing it back. Where does it go? Right here? I like to leave the light switches so when you come into a room, you stand here with the open room, you can just turn everything on. Because I will never walk over in this room. I have that conversation a lot, and in the past I've been talked into that. And then when you move into the house, the homeowners go,
You never use it?
yeah, they go, you turn the lights on at night.
We talk you into it so we can make the money.
Yeah, make more outlets. So, more switches.
If I use disc lights, I can get them centered on that door.
Yeah,
right?
I don't want disc.
Yeah, that's
No
hard. So
cans.
if we do
You know,
cans,
you could just put one can. It doesn't have to be centered. Why don't we just do one? We have lamps there. Do we have one over the bed?
no, we have our ceiling fan, you have your two sconces, but what we had planned for on our original
I think we
walkthrough-
talked about doing. Didn't we talk about doing one over the headboard?
We had talked about these two right here, kind of in the walkway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's without a center.
Let's do it so it's not centered. How about if we do one? There's going to be artwork or something here. Let's just put one centered over this, and then that catches the hallway.
Cool. So we're going to do centered from this
Yeah.
space to this space.
So I went from 2 cans to 1. I'm saving money. Right, let's go there, and then let's go there. At each end, one over the headboard. What your concern is because the bed's not centered. All right, that's why we left that off. Do one on this wall right here, because this will be another artwork wall. Can I get it right here?
Boss, your symmetry is going to be dead on with my ceiling fan right here. You don't have that. You would have to do.
No, but what I want to do here, is that dead on? What's this wall? Once again, I need a tape.
I understand.
I want it centered on this wall, not that, forget the door. So when I do these light layouts, people want to count this door as the wall. You got to really start here because you're going to hang your artwork in the middle of this wall. The door is not the equation. So I need to find the center of this wall, not with the door. Let's see what that gets us. And what Tony's always fighting with is these floor joists sometimes are in the way. What's the middle? 53.5. So we can't quite
No, you're right on.
get it right in there.
Nope.
I think, don't we have a nightstand in there? Let's just go ahead and stick one right in here. I'm okay with that.
Gotcha. Just right next to it.
Yeah, we do a circle in the floor. Okay, so 2 cans in this ceiling. This is something new that we're doing. Here's the bed, so we have to measure a king-size bed. We're not centering on the wall. When you come in the room, we want to give more room from the doorway, so we actually slid the bed. We found the center of the room, and we realized we need a little more walkway on this side of the bed because this is where this person's going to be getting out. There's going to be a dresser right here, so we shoved the king-size bed that way, which threw the bed off center. But what we're going to do to kind of make it look centered up is these are going to be light sconces next to the bed for reading lights. But when you're laying in bed, we added light switches, so you don't have to get out of bed. You can turn this light on, you can turn the ceiling fan on, and you can turn the can lights on. It's just kind of an added nice little benefit versus running to the door, turning the light out and trying to run and get in bed before it gets dark. I've never been able to do that. Another thing Tony's done, which is nice, more people have stuff to plug in their nightstands versus the 2 gang box, 2 outlets. This bigger box will have 4 outlets in it. So you can plug in a lamp, you can plug in your phone, and some people have to have a sleep apnea machine. I don't know, somebody does. I have to do that, it's kind of sad. They say I snore, but I don't believe it. So I look like I'm flying a fighter jet when I go to bed at night. Aging's not pretty. You can plug one of those in versus buying an outlet and keep adding stuff to it. That's not safe. So we're thinking ahead, what we would call aging in place, the right kind of outlets to keep it safe in the house. So we're putting it on that side of the bed. That's where I'll be sleeping, on that side of the bed, closest to the bathroom. Where can you run the white wires and where can you run the yellow?
You can run the yellow anywhere you want to, but you don't have to run it in living room areas such as bedrooms rooms, living rooms, hallways, stuff like that.
Okay.
Your yellow wire is primarily your 20 amp wire used for your bathroom GFIs, used for any heavy duty appliance such as cooking, heating, stuff like that.
So it's a yellow is a heavier gauge, so it's a bigger gauge, so it can handle when you plug in
20 amps,
yeah,
20 amps.
yeah, okay. Where most appliances you plug in are 15 amp.
No, I mean, it totally depends. Like the vacuum, stuff like that, it can be put on a 15 amp circuit. And most of them, even your kitchen appliances can technically be put, I mean, you can't, if they're in your kitchen, you have to keep them on a 20 amp, but they can be plugged into a 15
They'll work
amp
somewhere else, right?
receptacle as well.
Yeah,
and
we
they'll
just had
still
one lady,
work.
she had commercial grade stuff that she would put on her countertops for toasters and different things, and when she'd plug it in, the circuit would pop because hers were higher ampage.
Yeah, well, so if you're going to plug two things in on even a brand new house, if you plug two items in, like two kitchen items, like an air fryer and a toaster in at the exact same time, you're going to trip a brand new 20 amp circuit, right? Because your air fryer is going to be 15 to 1700 watts, which is going to be between 12.5 and about 14 amps. Right? So you're already hogging that 20 amp circuit with one item. Now, if you plug a toaster in, a toaster's another 6 to 7 amps. Your breaker knows one thing. And
That's all on that same wall? I mean, or so could you take the toaster and put it on the kitchen island,
100%,
plug it in,
yep.
and
So-
something over there, and then it's not on the same circuit?
So per code, we only have to have 2 dedicated kitchen circuits. That's it, 2 dedicated small appliance circuits. And off those small appliance circuits, I have to equally split my countertop outlets up. So if I have 8 countertop outlets, each circuit has to contain 4 and 4. They have to be equally split. You know, if it's 7, of course, 4 and 3, as close to equally split as possible.
Okay.
But with that being said, I can still split off either one of those 2 circuits legally and hit all my dining room outlets.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So sometimes if you've got something cooking up here, plugged in, and then you decide to go vacuum, you plug in, you could pop something?
Potentially, but what I do for my custom houses, of course, is I always make my island, which is where the primary, which is where most of your cooking utensils, your griddle, your air fryer when it's pulled out, most of the stuff gets used on your countertop. So I always make a dedicated circuit for my countertop outlets, almost always try to recommend that to a customer.
Gotcha. Now, you answered my question. The yellow wire is heavier gauge, 20 amps, so that we can plug everything and not dim the
Orange
lights.
wires up to 30 amps.
So there will be a quiz. I hope you guys took notes after this, because that's a lot of information that Tony has in that head. That's why I have him on my job site. He needs to know that. I don't have to. Thank you, Tony. You guys aren't going to believe this. I called Eugenio to find out where he's at. Today is the nicest day of the entire 2023 year. He said, no trabajo today. And trabajo, I know that word, means work. No work today. Well, what's going on, Eugenio? Why can't you work? He said, I'm having troubles with my girlfriend. I go, well, what's that got to do? He said, well, she took her car and blocked my van, so he can't get his van out to go to work. So I said, I will call a tow truck if you need. We'll get that thing out of there. I think what happened is that she likes to work with him, and he didn't take her to work yesterday for whatever reason, I don't know. And now she's mad and making it so he can't go to work. That's a first for me. But hopefully he gets it all worked out and starts siding my house. So I don't know what is going on there, but I hope they get this little relationship spat worked out so we can get back to work and get in this house sided. I've got a lot of work for Eugenio, and if his girlfriend keeps giving him the business, I'm gonna go online and find him a new one. You guys have expressed some interest in what my boys are doing with the greenhouse and gardening out here at the land. So I'm gonna take you down and show you how they're prepping. It's all organic. So Max has been stirring up a brew of all organic fertilizer. So it is all organic. Everything has to be totally natural. And while he's mixing it up, he's bringing it down to Nate, my oldest boy, who is tilling it in, and they're creating all the planting beds for the outdoor garden. There's going to be an indoor garden, so the outdoor garden is what they're working on now. Let's go out and I'll show you what kind of progress they're making. Okay, so what you're seeing is Nate down there is doing all the tilling, and they've got several beds, and they're tilling all that special fertilizer that Max is brewing into the ground. I guess they only do that once. So they got the beds marked out, some going this way, some that way, and then over my shoulder, over here where those posts are. So in a couple weeks, Hortitech, the guys out of Oregon, Marcus, is actually making a trip here, and they're gonna help us finish building the greenhouse. So we'll have a full video on that, so stay tuned. That all comes together. I'm real excited to finally see that all get completely built, but we have a little situation. There is a underground line that has been, I think I talked about that in the past. We're a little too close, so we gotta take a few of those posts, and move them to the other end, because last thing we want is when the people that own this easement come out and tell us that our greenhouse is on top of their easement and they want the whole greenhouse moved. It's so much easier moving 2 posts right now versus 22 or more. Let's go down and check on Nate. The correct term that what Max is brewing up and what Nate's tilling into the ground is called amendments. All that looks like white chalky stuff is being ground in. That's going to be fertilizer for the planting of the plant. So Nate's turning into an organic farmer. So that there is the Honda Tiller 6000. It's an 8,000, I just added a 0. 800, but it sounds better when you say 8,000. 800 doesn't sound like enough. Put some back in it, Nate. So here's what's crazy. These kids have all grown up in the city, my boys, our whole family. Now, for some reason, they want to be country kids. And it seems like the country kids, when they get to college, want to be city kids. So it's a flipperooski. It's a little confusing. It's always what you can't have is what you want. So I'm down here with the boys seeing how they're doing with their farming. Nate's over there tilling things up. I've got plenty of guys working on the house, but there is no Eugenio. Eugenio is supposed to be here with a crew of 5 guys siding, and he is a no-show. So I got to figure out where Eugenio is. I'm Brad the Builder. Today I'm here to ask for your help. We have a member of the Brad the Builder family, Colin Doyle. He is in a wheelchair. He's also an ex-Marine that has toured in Iraq and has 2 Purple Hearts. He is currently in the hospital, has been in and out of the hospital for the last several years. And what I've learned is Colin is in desperate need of a barrier-free, handicap-accessible bathroom, and also some parts of his home as well. So I'm here to ask for your help. I want to raise $20,000 so that we can go down, and I have a contractor that I've been working with that will come in and help us get the labor, do the demo, but we have to raise this money to buy the expensive materials that it takes to put this together. I've done several of these in my market, and the bad part is these handicap accessible items are extremely expensive, and that's why it's hard to really see them in homes, but we're going to make this happen with your help, so that Colin Doyle can come home from the hospital and spend less time in the hospital and more time with his family. I also have a friend, Theo, down in Little Rock, Arkansas, is extremely talented. I want to show you what he is going to do for Colin by building these beautiful cutting boards.
Welcome to my shop. It's a nice chilly day in Arkansas. This is where I do most of my woodworking. Brad and I are working on a project together. We're going to try to raise some money to help some disabled veterans out. My part of it is I'm using all this scrap lumber to see if I can build some cutting boards and some other things. And you can see around in my shop, I'm kind of in the process of quite a few things. Here's an example of one that I'm working on. This is actually, you know, a lot of people do these projects and they end up throwing this wood away, but I mean, some of this wood is actually pretty impressive. This is a zebra wood. This is wingy. I have it all clamped up right now. You cut it down and, you know, this is obviously the early stages. But once I get it cleaned up, this board is going to be spectacular.
As you can see, those are some beautiful cutting boards. Theo has actually sent one up to me. There's only a limited supply. We have 30 of these cutting boards that are going to be made available free to you with a donation on my website. If that's too much money, you can just donate cash to help with the funds, or I have hats and I have shirts that anytime you buy those on my website, 100% of all these funds are going towards Colin's cause. I'm confident that we can make this happen, and with your help, we can change Colin's life. So please donate now. I'm Brad the Builder, and as always, I'll see you guys at the next job site.